Welcome back to my channel. My name's Rebecca, I'm 28 and I live in Newcastle, and you are reporting for Beauty Duty. So today we have a Morphe day. It's not quite a full face, but eyeshadow palette and a few other bits and bobs from Morphe, and this is what we came up with. So if you're interested, do keep on watching. So brows on and eyes primed. I've got my new mirror, handheld mirror. There I am, hello. It's from, I bought it from Primark for like £3.50. And it's like, pretty good. Nice and light as well. Not like the greatest quality, but you know. And these are from Primark, but I just cut them up to do, so I have something so I can get a nice angle. Trying not to do rounded out halo eyes as much as possible. So I'm playing with the Everyday Chic palette. It's from Morphe. Amongst other Morphe items as well. I don't know what it was about it. I felt like the colour story is a little bit unique. It is quite light, so I don't know how much of it will show up on my skin tone. And I do think it could have been smaller. But yeah, I'm quite excited to have a play and see how I get on. Yeah. Guess who washed their makeup brushes? Oh my god, it happened. Oh, I've just realised I pulled this out and I think it has the names on. Yeah, it does have the names on. So let's see. Just so I can say what it is that I'm using. There's the colour story in this, there's not a huge amount of diversity, so I'm looking at sort of green or like sort of mauvey purples. So just kind of see what happens. I am going to go in with the darkest shade that I'm going to use first, which is this shade here. And that is called It's a Date. My trusty mirror, like a proper YouTuber. And it's quite magnified actually. And I'm taking this on a Zoeva 231 Luxe Petite Crease. Make sure that we are. I'm not about to pop that on super creasy eyes. So tapping that off. I'm mainly going to focus this in the outer corner. So this is a cool toned sort of, I don't know, purpley grey sort of shade. That had to get up and tell my fiance to quieten down. He's on his Xbox. Right, so going in with It's a Date. As I said, focusing that in on the outer corner where I want most of the darkness. Don't know if I'm going to take it all the way in. I'm going to see. And just tapping that on. Good amount of pigment. And it's not patchy. So yeah. I think for me, I'm so used to seeing like either sort of more monochromatic from Morphe, like the 39S, which is like all purple, or just like where the neutrals in it are all very warm leaning. That this is quite a unique sort of setup. And I did buy this from an actual Morphe store because my city does have a Morphe store. I actually would say the brand that I own the most palettes from is Morphe. Okay. So that's that added on. It's actually a really nice shade. You could do a nice smoky eye with this. I'm just blending that a little bit. Out just with the same brush. It's good to get a fluffy, slightly fluffy brush. It's so nice having my brushes clean. I did a mass clean last night because it just means I have much more sort of variety of what I can actually do and not sort of like, which brush is the cleanest? This is a Morphe E23, just a big floofy floofer. Do we like the curls? A bit different. Well, it's not different. I've filmed like this a few times, but don't do the curls often because it means I have to sleep with loads of these in, and it's not the most comfortable process in the world. Just blending that out nicely. And then the colour I'm going to go into next is a very mauvey sort of purple, which is that shade here, and it's called Total Mood. And I'm taking that on a Spectrum A12. I'm just going to bring this into the inner portion of the eye. These are very similar in tone, but this is just a little bit lighter. It's actually showing up on my eye a lot more than I thought it would, so that's actually quite a pleasant surprise for me. I'm actually just going to blend that over the darker shade slightly as well. So that's as far as I'm going to take that. And I'm just taking a Jessup 227 Luxe Soft Definer. I'm just going to soften this up here. That actually blends out really nicely. I'm going to just make sure it's nicely blended right out into the outer corner as well. I'm going to add a slight bit more pigment across here because it's not quite as dark as on the other side. Really like that shade as well. You know me with anything that's purple toned. Make sure that's got a nice blend on it as well. So I want everything to sort of have a nice fade together. Pigment has blended away slightly, so I'm just going to build it up again. Make sure that is nicely focused into the crease and blended upwards. Right, so again, I'm going to pick up a Jessup 231 Luxe Petite Crease and go into that Feeling Pretty shade, which is just this shade here, and hopefully it'll show up nicely on the eye. We shall see. So not the most pigmented shade on my eye, but it does show a bit of colour, and I do just want this to be quite soft anyway. So I think this is quite a autumny palette. Like, I know it's not traditional with the warm tones, but for some reason it feels quite autumnal to me. I don't know what it is about it, because this is quite of a pale shade. I can't get away with what sort of being a bit more slap hazard with it, and I'm going to blend it over the top of the other shade in that I used, just to make sure that I have the full sort of intensity that I'm looking for. So I'm quite happy with how this is looking. I'm just going to go back in with the darkest shade that I used again, and that was called It's a Date, and just re-intensify that a little bit. I'm just trying to find the brush that I put it on with, and I cannot, so I'm just going to take one of my little more mini Morphe brushes and tap into that again. This could, if I just did a cream on the lid, could be such a nice all matte look, but when there's a glitter in the palette talking to me, of course I'm not going to do an all matte look, let's be honest. And going back in with my Spectrum A12 and just going back into the second shade that we used and making sure that I've got the most out of that, and I will use that to blend out. I'm actually surprised that these are showing up on my eye as much as they are. I honestly really didn't think that they were going to, so I mean, I don't love a pressed glitter actually, but I will give it a bash. I don't actually think a pressed glitter is hugely flattering on my eye type, but I want to give it another try because I haven't used one in quite a while and see what happens. And again, going into feeling pretty and just literally repeating all my motions again. And floofing. I'm going to take a big fluffy brush again, just the big Morphe one. Tap into feeling pretty with that. I'm just going to do a big buff and blend. Mainly in the outer corner. Don't really want to add anything more to my front half because that's looking textured enough because of my dry eyelids. Right, so we've just got a very simple sort of cool tone purpley neutral blend going on. I'm going to pop off, cut my crease in, and we'll come back on and let's get a bit sparkly. So I shall see you shortly. Okay, so I've taken what I had on in the crease off and popped some glitter glue over the top. It's more to reduce the amount of texture as possible when I'm about to put pressed glitter on eyes as textured as mine. So yeah, so I'm just flattening my normal cut crease brush down as much as possible. There we go. Okay, so the glitter is called Talk of the Town. And that is what she looks like. I mean, just so pretty. So we'll see. Let me get my trusty mirror back up. And I'm just going to try and pick, if I can, pick some of that up on a brush. And I'm just going to pat this on. Swirly, swirl, swirl. Pat, pat, pat. I will say, obviously, a pressed glitter is easier to use than a loose glitter. Loose glitter is something that I never use. I much prefer like a pigment to add the sort of show stop to my eyes. But I would like to get more into a little bit glitter. And if I like glitter, I prefer like it in a liquidy the liquid glitter sort of form, like a Stila. The Stila ones, I prefer those normally to something like this, but you know, I couldn't resist it, and it goes so well with what I've laid down. So just making sure I've got as much opacity on that as possible. I could have laid a metallic down and then put glitter glue on top or something like that, but you know. Okay, so that's kind of the cleanest that we're going to get on that. And I'm going to try, it's a little bit more difficult, but like make sure I don't have so much of a harsh edge here. So I'm just going to go back in with that darker colour and sort of pat over the best that I can. It's not the easiest thing to do. You've got to press glitter on the eye, but sort of try and make this as kind of as seamless as I possibly can. Quite a like alternative Christmas look than just doing like a straight up gold or straight up like silver, so I do quite like it for that. I'm just going to take quite a small brush. This is clean, it's just very stained, and I'm going to take the second colour that I used and just going to graze that around the top, just make sure we're not losing anything. I don't have the best eye space in the world, so yeah. Okay, some little bit of glitter's gone up into the crease, well above the crease. It's not the end of the world. Don't really check whether or not this is eye safe glitter, and then just going back into feeling pretty. I've just wiped that brush off on my pajama bottoms as you do, and graze around the edge again with that. There we go. Pretty simple. Okay, I was trying to get the glitter off there. Okay, we shall see. Right, and moving on, I do have the Morphe foundation. However, I think it might be quite pale for me, but we'll just go with it with my high necked, and if we have to do a bit of bronzer, extreme bronzer, then we'll do some extreme bronzer. Do the peel. Oh, there we go. Quite satisfying actually. And where's my Morphe foundation? Should have been more prepared. Here it is. So now I do actually quite like this. I think that it is got really, really amazing coverage, and it is very matte and long wearing. So actually when I first put it on, I'm like, feels tight, but through the day, because I am oily, it does last really long. So that is the, oh my goodness, this is quite well loved and travelled with, Fluidity Full Coverage Foundation, and this is F2.20. There we go. So I'm just gonna bounce. Yeah, this is pale. You can just see how full coverage that is. My goodness. I ain't mad how full coverage it is. And yes, I am aware that this is super pale, but I wanted to use the foundation in this video. Because I do think it got a lot of heat. It got a lot of heat when it first came out. But I think a lot of people that were testing it out that I saw testing it, it wasn't for their skin type and things like that. I think you need to be oily or normal. Someone with dry skin should not go near this with a 10-foot barge pole. I would not recommend it if you've got dry skin at all. Like, stay away. But for someone like me who likes the cake face, likes to be full coverage, this is absolutely great. I need to make sure this is blended as much out as I possibly can make it. God, that is pale, isn't it? We'll sort it out. We'll sort it out. Yes, I know it's pale. Do not give me any shit in the comments. And I'm going in with my favourite contour product. Sorry, I've taken the lid off, which is the Morphe Contour Stick, and this is in Effect 15. I actually really love this. I've not really seen anyone talking about it, but I think it's fantastic and very affordable, actually. I'm just gonna... So we are actually gonna go in quite liberally with this, because yeah, this is quite, it is dry on the skin. Even on me that's oily, it does look dry, the foundation. But it's a good, like, if you're working super long hours and you like to be in a full coverage, and I think as well it would wear quite well underneath a mask potentially. So yeah, I'm just taking a clean sponge, different one, well, same brand, same type, but I've got multiples of these. I'm just going to blend out. So we are going to be super pale and then really have a good bronzer. So I will fix this. But I always say better for me to be a little bit too pale than to be too dark, that's for sure. Yeah. Do you think this is slightly cool for me as well? But it is what it is. Do you think it's on the slightly, it could be cheaper this because I think it's like the same level as a very, very good like drugstore foundation, that it shouldn't be. I think it's like £19, maybe a little bit less than that, but 16 maybe, I don't know, I'll put the price up. But I hesitated on buying it for a bit because I thought it was too expensive for what it was. So this is a really nice contour product, as you can see, and because I'm a bit pale and I've added a very cool contour, we are looking a bit skeleton-like, but you know, I'll fix it. And I'm going to use some concealer. So I don't want to go in with anything too pricey, and I don't want to go in with like my everyday concealer because I'm running out a little bit. So I'm just going to go in with the Revolution Conceal and Define Infinite in the shade 4C 4.5. I don't actually have the Morphe concealer. I would quite like to try it. I would quite like to end up with like a full face of Morphe potentially. That was my plan, but there's so much being released and, you know, and things like that, that you just, I always have plans to buy things. God, this is completely dried down. So if you were not dry skin, but on the drier side and wanted a foundation that was going to last a long time, that you didn't have to set, I would say that this is probably a good one for you. It could potentially be, if you prep your skin right. Like you might need to do a major sort of, whatchamacallit, very hydrating primer. Make sure you're well moisturized. Even someone that's oily should still be very, very well moisturized. I was well moisturized before I came on camera. Actually, those two work actually super well together. We are cake face today. This is what we've got going on right now. And as I said, it has dried. It's completely dry. It's completely dry on my skin. So I am going to just quickly set my under eye off camera, and I'm going to quickly do the lightest dusting of something on the skin, just so that I make sure that I don't have anything like sticking to it when I do the rest of my base. So I will be okay. So I've set my face, contoured, and popped a little bit of bronzer on. I don't have Morphe products for that. Not that this is necessarily an all Morphe video, but you know. And I noticed that I hadn't blended out my contour very well on my double chin, so I have done that. So yes, and I did a bit of a spray of one of the Morphe setting sprays, which is a continuous setting mix in Sweet Peach. I do not like the smell of this. But I have it, so I'm going to use it. And then my next Morphe product that I have is, I have a blush palette, and cool toned actually will go super well with this eye look. And I also have a highlighter palette, and that's what that looks like there. It's got actually quite interesting tones in the highlighter palette. That's why I chose it. I actually got these two, like a cleansing balm, like in a tub, and obviously not all of these brushes, but a few brushes and a pot for like 38, I think it was £39. And these normally retail for like 20, so it was like a really good deal. And the Morphe salesperson was fantastic at her job and suckered me right in. I'm a sucker. You can probably saw me coming. I will buy anything if it's on a good deal. Right, so let's do some blush. So this is a cooler toned palette, so it'll be perfect for this look. So I'm gonna try Free, which is this shade here, and see how we get on. I think the thing with blush is it doesn't necessarily always, like blush palettes even, is not all colours will, actually that's shown up. I'm a bit crazy with that. Not all colours will necessarily show up on my skin tone. There's a little luminosity to it. It's not like a blushy highlighter at all, but it has a little bit of a sheen, like it's a satin, which I actually really, really like. Just adding a bit of nice pink back to the face, which I do like. I never used to really wear blush, and then I've gotten really into it recently. And then I'm going to tap slightly into Drama. I'm Feeling Brave, which is this one there, and this is another one with a bit of satin to it. And I'm just going to take that slightly higher up here and blend it downwards a bit. So we're quite blushy. We are super blushy. Oh dear. Just chatting away and not realising that I'm making myself look like a clown. This is not a Halloween tutorial, Rebecca. But I do like a super blushy look, to be fair. Okay, that'll do. And then for highlighter, I've used this a few times and I really like it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the shade Galactic, which is this shade just here. And again, I'm going to take this on another Morphe brush. My very well loved, slightly worse for wear looking Morphe are rubbed off. So yeah, so I'm just going to go into Galactic quite gently and just, oh, hello. See, I'm still surprised, even though I've used this a few times before. Do I have a cast? It's just not that bad. There was a more like, there was a different highlighter palette I could have got, and it was all like very champagne-y and things. So I wanted this one because it's got like the bluey and pink tones, like even this is a pinky duochrome. So I wanted something that had a bit more diversity and would add something a little bit more different to my collection. And the other one, would I maybe have used it more and things like that? Potentially, yes. But I just think that, you know, it's good to sort of make sure you've got everything, especially with spooky season beginning. I want to make sure that I have like all of my options for when I start doing my spooky looks. Yeah, it's a nice highlighter, right? And not bad considering I got them together for a good deal. Right, I'm gonna pop these somewhere. Oh, just dropped something. And still within reach. Okie dokie. And let's do my under eye. Why, oh why do brands just not print the names on the palettes? This, it's just such a pet peeve for me. I do glue them in, and I have done in other Morphe palettes. So I'm taking the darkest shade that I used, which is called It's a Date. So I'm just taking this on a Morphe Y20. I don't know if they still do this range or not, but I have a few of these brushes and I actually really like them. I'm just going to run that nice and close to the lash line. I like a dark, more sultry lash line, that's for sure. And because I've got quite a chunky under eye, I do like to sort of get right in there, and I can sort of be quite dramatic with it without looking like I've been punched in the face, which is always quite a positive. There we go. And I'm taking my Jessup 231 Luxe Petite Crease and going in with the second shade that I went in with, which is called Total Mood. And then taking a big fluffy floofster and going in with Feeling Pretty, which is the really light shade, and just smooshing that under the eye with no particular precision. And this is what we've got going on. I actually quite like this. It's quite a glam look, very simple, easy to do. And then I'm going to do something on the inner corner. There are some beautiful looking metallics in this palette, I have to say. So I would like to put a different sort of metallic shade. What are we thinking? Are you too dark? Ooh, it sort of feels a bit soft, that one. Is that too dark? My inner corner? Might be too dark for my inner corner. So that is called Ooh La La, which is this shade here. And it's a beautiful sort of dewy chromy shade. So I'm going to pop a little bit of that down here. Okay, that definitely needs to have the brush sprayed. Need to get this sweet peach one used up, so I don't mind using it to wet my brushes. If it was like the normal black continuous setting spray, no way would I be using that to wet a brush, but I just really hate the smell of this, so I'm not that bothered. Ooh, that's a nice shade. Definitely more of a shade to use with your fingers. I ended up running that quite far underneath because, you know, why not? That's nice. Is that going to go? It's very light. How about you? Okay, I'm just going to go in with a sort of typical, very light inner corner shade, and it's called Cheers to You. And it's sort of a champagne, well, it's not even champagne, it's just a white metallic, sort of a beigey cream one. That's something I'm not bothered about, actually. Having a really bright inner corner is not something that's like, I know some people like must do inner corners, and I'm like, if I feel like it. I'm gonna take this brush here. Again, it's stained, not dirty, because it's one of the ones that did make it into the wash. Just making sure that's blended out nicely and not sort of, I don't like them when they're not blended well. Right, so I'm going to pop off, do liner, lips and lashes, and I will be right back and we'll have a chat about what we've used. See you soon. Okay, so I'm back with liner, lips and lashes. I'll link down below what's on my lips because this is about 4 different things. You know me, I like to get the perfect sort of shade. And I have a lip liner on my waterline. Again, I'll link that down below if I remember which one it is that I used. And I have Prima lashes in the style Margarita on my eyes. Really dramatic and floofy. So let's talk about what I've used. I really like the palette. Obviously, as always, I didn't use many shades, but like it is quite neutral. It is a neutral palette, I would say, but like an interesting neutral, you know, an interesting. I think that the shimmers in it are really nice. I actually quite like the pressed glitter. And it's got, and it does run dark, like I can deepen up shades. I'm quite interested to play in a bit of green, could do more sort of pastel-y purples. So, you know, it really is a lot of my colours and could be a real go-to in the sort of winter for me, because I do wear a lot of like darker tones like this, and it matches my favourite hairband perfectly as well. So yeah. The blush palette, blush and highlighter palette, I think I'm gonna buy the other blush palette as well. So I got the cool toned one. I think I'm gonna get like the peachy one as well. I think the quality on these is really nice. The pigmentation is great. I put something on that I thought was gonna be really light and actually showed it really well on me. And again, I really like these. As you can see, super like pigmented, a lot of shine. So I do really like it, and there's no glitter to it. It's just pure metallic, well, not metallic, but pure glow, which is what I prefer. I wouldn't rush out and buy the other one because I just don't need it. I have a lot of highlighters at the moment, but blush is not something that's massive in my collection. So yeah, the contour, it's my absolute staple, and actually I've used it quite a lot and I still have loads of it left. So yeah, and I think it's quite inexpensive. And the foundation, Now that my skin is settled and it's been sprayed a couple of times, it does actually feel a bit better on the skin, but you could see it's super, super full coverage, and it has warmed up a bit now that I've got it on. So, and I have obviously got bronzer on. So I think that's potentially why, because what I often do is when you could swatch is I swatched on my hands, walked around, let it oxidize, and then saw the color. And that's often what I need to do. That's often like a little trick that I do, is make sure that I give it a chance to warm up on the skin, which is what I know from doing my job as a beauty ambassador, like a beauty consultant, is that I know that that is something that you often need to do, because 99% of foundations will oxidize slightly on the skin. But yeah, what do you think? Let me know down below. I think it matches my hairband really, really well. Let me come in a little bit closer. As usual for me, nothing too wild, but quite easy to follow. I think if you wanted to recreate this, it's super, super simple, and that's sort of what I kind of like to go for on my channel as well. Don't forget to go follow me over on Instagram. I do post little different looks over there that I sometimes just have a play with and not necessarily film. So if you see anything on there that I've not filmed before and you'd like me to film, do let me know and I'll do my best to sort that out for you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're new here. I would absolutely appreciate that so, so much, and ring that bell so you're notified of when I next upload. Thank you very much for watching my video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.